Hi everyone, I'm Florian Puhani, and this is the video that was requested the most in the respective poll a couple of months ago. Thank you, Legs On, for suggesting it first. In the early 1980s, when I was about 12 or 13 years old, I borrowed this book from my father, an older edition of course. This picture is from my recently purchased Kindle edition. The book was first published in 1953, so I think it's pretty amazing that 70 years later it is still in print. I guess you can call it a real classic. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, there isn't an English version of it. Anyway, back then in 1983 I started reading that book and dabbling in Hatha yoga practice along the way. But I found out soon my young teenage self was lacking the necessary patience for it. Nevertheless, I kept being fascinated by the idea that your spirit has the potential to become the absolute master of your physical body. Needless to say, this notion mixed well with the beginnings of my bodybuilding journey. Also, there is this one component that all Hatha yoga exercises featured in this book have in common. And that's the full yoga breathing. Therefore, it is described very early in the book, fortunately for me. Otherwise, I might have missed it, since at some point my interest waned and I put the book aside for a very long time. However, for some reason, I nevertheless kept practicing full yoga breathing daily whenever I thought about it, and I'm not entirely sure why exactly. Maybe just because it doesn't feel nice to discover some ancient and powerful practice only to find out one was lacking the necessary consistency for it. Maybe I just kept doing it so I could tell myself, "What? I'm still practicing yoga. Yes, I'm doing only one exercise, but at least it's the most fundamental one, and I'm practicing daily. So there." But I remember it also began to feel good immediately. And I had to breathe anyway, so why not breathe in that particular fashion? I guess it came pretty natural to me too. Also, back then I spent enough time alone I didn't have to practice it in company, so nobody could find it weird. Even to my buddies I only disclosed it when I got the first comments about my enlarged ribcage a year later or so. On this, I think I should remark my ribcage hadn't been too small in the first place. Genetics are always a factor you have to take into account. And I was at an age my ribcage, along with the rest of my body, would have grown anyway. So I don't think every one of you can expect his or her ribcage to expand to the same dimensions mine did, especially if you're already older than I was back then. Anyway, I also would like to point out that a huge ribcage is a double-edged sword. It may look impressive as long as you're dressed, but when you're not, it always makes your pectoralis muscles look small by comparison. From the back, my lats never had trouble filling out the extra space, but from the front and either side, my pecs looked like "do you even lift" for the most time in my life, and some may argue they still do. That being said, if I could do it all over again, I would start practicing full yoga breathing at an even younger age, if only for the spiritual aspect and the many general health benefits. If I didn't think it had substantial value that goes way beyond the improvement of your physical appearance, I wouldn't even bother to explain it to you. But I am in fact so convinced of its universal benefits that I recommend you perform this practice whenever you think about it. Standing straight, sitting upright, or lying on your back are all conducive positions for full yoga breathing. Always inhale and exhale through your nose. Full yoga breathing involves 3 separate stages of breathing. The first stage focuses on the lower part of the lungs by engaging the diaphragm. You inhale deeply into your belly, allowing it to protrude as your diaphragm descends and your lungs fill with air. This is also called abdominal or belly breathing. If you find it difficult to engage in it, you can facilitate it by placing one hand on your lower belly and the other one on your chest. This will help you become more aware of your breathing process in general and the structures involved in it in particular. It can also be helpful to deliberately protrude your belly even before starting to inhale. This may even lead to air flowing into the lower parts of your lungs without any conscious inhalation. As soon as your belly doesn't naturally protrude any farther, shift your focus to your rib cage. Continue inhaling while you feel your costal arch expand to both sides. If you're not used to it, this movement can be rather subtle and the second stage rather short respectively. If you have trouble consciously perceiving this stage, you can place your hands on your flanks instead of your belly and chest right from the start, provided you have already mastered belly breathing. Don't dwell on this second stage longer than a few seconds. As soon as your flanks have noticeably expanded, shift your focus to your upper chest and clavicles. Gently suck in your belly again in order to provide stabilization for your lungs as you fill them to their full capacity with air. Focus on breathing into the tops of your lungs, raising your chest, clavicles and shoulders. Although you have to focus on each of these stages separately as a beginner, keep in mind that ideally they should transition from one into the next one smoothly and fluently. Regarding the exhalation process, you will find conflicting instructions whether or not to reverse the order of the three stages. According to my source of choice and my own estimation, it makes more sense to keep the order the same. After all, you have already started sucking your belly back in again for the third stage of the inhalation process. Therefore, now you suck your belly in even farther, pressing the air out of the lower part of your lungs. Then squeeze your lower ribs together using their own intercostal muscles, not your hands. Being unable to consciously activate those muscles on their own isn't unusual. It helps to flex them together with your whole frontal core. Finally, lower your clavicles and shoulders. At the very end of the exhalation process, give your abs a squeeze in order to make sure you remove even the last remainder of air out of your lungs. But don't force that too much. Wait at least 1 second before you begin the inhalation process again. Fun fact: when my wife and me expected our first child, we were participating in a prenatal class. And of course, they taught us deep belly breathing. It turned out I could let my stomach protrude even farther than some of the women who were 6 months pregnant. The instructor was pretty impressed with me. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please share it with as many people as possible, because this is something everyone can practice everywhere without any prerequisites. I also wouldn't mind a thumbs up, a comment, and if you're new to my channel, a subscription with the notifications turned on. Thank you for your ongoing support. My name is Florian, and I will continue to make an effort so that you don't get bored with your training.